All right, guys, I've got 7:02, so let's get started. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. So first and foremost, thank you for volunteering. It really takes a village. I promise this is not all the volunteers. Like every single chair on that first session was filled, so there are quite a few people who are helping out with this event to make it happen. So I got about 30 minutes in before I introduced myself last time, so I'm learning now. My name is John Burns. I am the Recreation Superintendent for Parks and Rec. I am working on the Hospitality Committee, our sanitation and showers, and our campgrounds as well. Just want to introduce a couple of the people that are sitting in here because we're going to be working really directly with them. First off, Captain Ryan Collins from the Sioux City Fire Department is on our public safety. He's going to be doing a presentation on that. Behind the camera, if Rachel wants to stand up and wave, is Rachel Eskin. She is with our campgrounds and has been placing a ton of people all over Sioux City. Over here we have Miss Cindy and Susie with our information center, so they are the ones who are helping head that up. Bill Lane is doing our RAGBRAI. That is all about rider safety, getting them out of town and to the next place without falling, hitting a train track. That's crazy. And Chad is with OEG 360 in the Tyson Event Center. He's going to be helping with all of our entertainment. He's helping put them on. And finally, Kathleen Von Grack in the back. She is with our food and beverage. So when we break out after our main presentation, we have short little things just to get really specific detail unique for the committee that you are in. If you're unsure what committee you're in, come find me after. There are some people, or find Tim. Tim, what's your last name? Tim Jacobson right here if you want to stand up and wave really quick if you don't see him. If you're unsure where you're going,
your numbers.
Tim has the answers. So Tim will help you out and get you in the right spot. So again, thank you so much everyone for being here. This is the 50th anniversary of RAGBRAI, which is why our theme is You Will Never Forget Your First Ride. It started right here 50 years ago, and it's been hosted 7 times. This is now our 8th time, most recently in 2015. So we've had about an 8-year hiatus. Really looking forward to hosting again. Our first ride began at 2nd and Nebraska Street. That's right by the Art Center lawn. We actually have a sculpture there that is going to kind of commemorate absurd ideas and what they can develop into. So that is going to be one of the places we're pushing people for a photo op. There's going to be photo ops all over the city. But again, really cool that it's historic. It's coming back here. And of course, it is bigger than ever before, I suppose. There are, what we're expecting is about 30,000 riders. That is just registered riders alone. That doesn't even include our unregistered. That doesn't include the thousands and thousands of support vehicles that come into town. This thing is going to be a big group of people kind of descending on Sioux City here. So it's gonna, again, that's why it takes each and every person to make this happen and make this thing go off well. So all 50 states are represented, and we have over 20 countries. The stories, I mean, there's literally people catching flights from all over the world to come to Sioux City, Iowa to start this ride all the way across the state. So again, this really cool historic bike ride. I think it's one of the largest in the world, and again, it gets to start right here. And what that represents for us is millions of dollars in economic impact. Every bar, every restaurant, every church group that's hosting a spaghetti feed, everybody is going to benefit from this. So without you guys sitting here volunteering your time to help us make this thing happen and do it well and do it safely, we wouldn't be able to put this on. So again, this thing is going to be an awesome event. There's going to be little mini events all around the city. We're going to have 4th Street is going to be shut down doing a big July jam. We have all sorts of different concerts and shows and church groups and all sorts of satellite locations putting stuff on. So again, a lot is going to be happening around RAGBRAI as we welcome all these people to our town. All right, so where is the action this year? So this year, the main attraction, if you will, is going to be down at the Tyson Event Center and Longlines parking lot, okay? So that's where our main act is going to be, which we'll get into it a little bit. That's where we have all of our food vendors. That's where we have our bike expo. We are expecting people kind of to filter down there throughout the day. We have shuttles that are going to be taking people down to that area. So from our main campsites like Riverside Park, like Chris Larson Park, which is our riverfront, and like this facility here, we're going to be moving people all over back to that main festival ground, because that's where we want them, that's where the party is, that's where we want them to drink beer, eat food, have fun, and then come back to their campsites after. So that's the main area for our action. I mentioned 4th Street businesses will be hosting that July Jam. Jackson Street Brewing is hosting an event. Mardo's got their outdoor event going on. Basically, if you are a business downtown, you're probably having your own event that day, because there's going to be thousands and thousands of people around. So we're going to be getting people down to 4th Street from the downtown trolley. That's going to be running for free. We're going to have the shuttle services all running for free. We want people coming to town to get around and get to these locations so they can have a good time. Various other organizations are going to be, the museum has a display about the history of RAGBRAI. The art center's got some really cool stuff going on. So we're going to be welcoming people and pushing them to all those different areas. There's photo ops everywhere. We have kid-friendly events like at Launchpad. Again, just truly a whole community effort here to make this thing happen, and there's going to be something for everybody. All right, so I alluded to the 3 main campgrounds, okay? So these are kind of the big areas that we want you to all be aware of. So at each campground, there's going to be an information booth, which we'll have more to come on this. That is our catch-all for if you don't know, that's where they're going. We have a medical tent at each location. Again, there's going to be EMS on scene almost the entire night. Ryan Collins will get into that in a little bit. There's going to be police, there's shuttle stops, of course, and that's how we're moving people around. And of course, campers. There's going to be thousands and thousands. We have probably about 12,000 campers on the riverfront. It's such a big number, it's almost absurd. But we're going to have about 12,000 of them there. We're going to have thousands of people out at Riverside Park, hundreds, if not 1,000 down here at the Expo Center. And that doesn't even include every hotel room in Sioux City. I dare you to go find a hotel room right now for Saturday. It's impossible. Everyone that knows someone, so this thing is going to be awesome. There's people coming around all over the place, but to highlight our main campgrounds and main areas that we're running, that's what we're focusing on today. All right, these vehicle passes for registered vehicles. This is kind of one of those things that's going to help us control who's coming to town. So these are examples of last year's passes. I'm assuming I haven't gotten an example of the current year's passes. They're going to look very comparable to this, I'm sure. What these are denoting that you are paid, you are registered, you're in the right place. So for example, when we break into our subcommittees here and you're with me at campgrounds, we're going to talk about how unless they have this in the driver's mirror, they're not coming into town, right? Because what will happen otherwise is you get thousands of vehicles piled up in the campgrounds, they're going to shut down really quick, and then the people who registered aren't going to be able to get in, right? So these are going to be very important for anyone coming to our areas and our campgrounds. So this is what we're going to be looking for. Without it, they're really not getting into one of our campgrounds. All right, so this map, everybody should have a copy of one. Again, this is the front side of it is our main campground area. So as you can see, Chris Larson Park is the riverfront. That's what we call the riverfront park, is Chris Larson Park. That is a long linear park, so as you can see, there's amenities kind of spread all throughout that area. The inset map on the top left is actually Riverside Park. And then the inset on the top right is our RV camping, which is going to be here around the Expo Center. So again, RV camping here at the Expo Center. At Riverside Park is almost entirely charters, which is just basically a group, a bike club. We have groups of up to 1,700 people. It's basically a moving city that they go around and set up. So that's going to be out at Riverside. And then finally at Chris Larson Park is where really most of our main campers are going to be coming into town, finding the spot, dropping their luggage, and getting to where they need to be. So again, this is an example of all of our campgrounds. We mentioned those info booths earlier, and info booths are really, really important for us. Those are kind of the home base, so to speak, for all of our campgrounds. So what do you find at the info booth? You'll have your frequently asked questions list, right? Where do I get to a shuttle stop? Where's the nearest food? How do I get downtown? How late's the music go to? They have all of that information at their information booths, okay? There's a list of all of our assigned camping spaces. So those charters that I just alluded to, those are all broken down. We've pre-placed a lot of them to make this thing really seamless. So hey, you're a group of 1,700 people, we have you carved out right here. So they're gonna get here, or some of them on Friday, Saturday morning, they're gonna set up tents, they do it nice and neat in the rows, it looks beautiful, and then the rest of everyone comes up and they find the closest green space next to them, they throw down their stuff, and that's where they're camping. So you'll literally be able to see where the charters are. But those ones are gonna all be pre-assigned, and the information centers will have those. They also are going to find our comprehensive emergency operations plan, our severe weather plan. This is the stuff that we're going to talk about with the public safety. If you take nothing else away from this meeting right now, what we want everyone to know is if there's a tornado, if there's a whatever, if something's going on, if there's suspicious activity, whatever it is, that is what we need everyone, all of our volunteers to be the eyes and ears around, so we are all reacting in the same way that makes sense in case of emergency. So really big point of emphasis from this meeting. We'll get into that further in detail. Again, all highlighted and outlined at our information booths at every single one of the campgrounds. Finally, there's maps, shuttle routes, and at the end of the day, just some friendly, fun people who are going to be pointing people in the right direction and welcoming them to town. So that's what you're going to find at our info booths. We have 3 shuttle routes. Again, you do not have to memorize these at all. All I want to highlight here is that we are going to be moving people around for free, and here's how you get to them. So this first one up on the screen is for Riverside Park. So as you can see in the bottom right-hand side, bottom right-hand side is the Tyson Event Center. That's where people are. That's our big festival ground. That's the concert. That's the the food vendors. They can get on a shuttle there. They're actually going to swing up past Cook Park, which is a backup park for us and an unregistered park. We'll get to that further in detail later. And then they go all the way up to West High School. As you can see, that's that little cutout there. West High School is where we're putting our long-term parking folks. So there's people who come to us, they pay money, they park their car at West High School for the whole week, they ride across the state, they get shuttled back to Sioux City, and then they get in their car and leave. So that's going to be at West High School and some additional at the Hard Rock ramps, parking ramps. So it's going to pass West High School, then we get out to Riverside Park and swing all the way back down to the festival grounds. So again, these shuttles are going to be running about every 15 to 30 minutes. We're not giving people a set time on top of hour, every quarter hour. There's going to be a lot of randomness to this. We literally have the flexibility to add shuttles or take shuttles away throughout the day. It's going to be a lot of just kind of reading and reacting to what's going on. All right, our second shuttle route is from this building, the Seaboard Triumph Foods Expo Center. So this is going to, of course, have a loop around the Expo Center here. It'll go out up Floyd, get them over to the Tyson Event Center, and then of course back down to this facility. So even our RV campers are going to have access to all of our main campground, our main festival and concert events. We really want to push people up there. Finally, Chris Larson Park. So I think this one's going to be the most people who are kind of maybe unsure about exactly where everything is. We're putting a lot of emphasis and focus on Chris Larson Park. This is where we're expecting, like I said, over 10,000 people to come and descend on this park and start spreading out and finding camping. So this shuttle, again, is pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, at the very bottom of the screen, it doesn't follow Chris Larson Park Road all the way through. That is going to turn into a one-way street on the day of RAGBRAI. So what they're going to do is where that loops around, that represents the Hilton Garden Inn parking lot. Basically, that we're going to have a hard stop there, and if you pass us past that hard stop, there's only one way out, and it's all the way down into our new riverfront development, which has been paved for semi-traffic. It's literally built for RAGBRAI, essentially, and we'll take them out Floyd. So otherwise, if you basically come into the park, you are going out the park the same direction, and that's why the shuttle just swings around there. So again, that one's going to be a big question. Where do I get on the shuttle? How do I get down to the festival grounds? This is how we're going to be moving people via shuttle. All right, entertainment. So again, OVG 360 and the Tyson Event Center are putting on an awesome show. We're really excited about this. It's completely free this year, so we are inviting the local public to come out. We want people to come take advantage. We have the Spin Doctors who are going to be highlighting our event this year. We have some local artists that are going to start around 1:30 p.m. And of course, the spin doctors are going to be kind of sending everyone off about 10:30 p.m. The festival grounds will remain open until about 11. And at that point, we're going to shut everything down, and people are going to find a bar, find somewhere, or go back to their campgrounds and kind of settle in for the night. At the campgrounds, we've been promoting basically 11 p.m. for our kind of quiet hours, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. for our quiet hours. We'll see how well everyone adheres to that, but that is our attempt, is 10 p.m. for some quiet hours, so they will leave our entertainment, which again is all at the Tyson Event Center and Long Lines parking lot. This is a zoomed in version, so again, if you have that map and you flip it to the back side, this is zoomed in. This represents, you get into town and you're like, I really want barbecue. Well, then you can look at this, and this will have a number on it that represents a vendor. So everything on here is just kind of that mini map of where you are going. So as you can see, it has the main stage on the right with our beer tents that are all going to be over in that area. As you move left, you're going to find the different food vendors. And then as you move all the way over to the Bike Expo, that's your people who are coming to town because they are selling, different bikes or whatever the heck, I don't know, whatever bikers buy, they're selling it there, I'm sure. So that is all the way over in the west side of the Tyson Event Center parking lot. Okay, so what should you expect as a volunteer? So first off, parking, how are you going to get to us? So on the day of, we're going to have parking on the 3rd and 4th floor ramps at the Hard Rock. So if you have not been down there, everyone should have a parking pass that they received when they walked in. If you don't, please get one on the way out. You're just going to put that in your window. We will have signage that will be pointing you in the right direction. You're going to get to your parking spot and you are good to go for your day there. If you were at one of our, what I'll call satellite locations, I'll get into detail as we break up. For example, if you're over at Riverside Park with campgrounds or hospitality with me, I'm not going to make you shuttle out there. We will get you a spot out at Riverside Park. So we'll go into some detail with that further later. All right, what environment are you going to be in? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Is the farmer's market down there?
Great question.
Okay.
That was a big question at the last one too. So yes, the farmer's market is still happening, just not in the same location. It's at the same time Saturday morning, and it is in the Great Southern Bank lot. The Great Southern Bank lot, which is, I don't know what street that's on.
By Milwaukee Wiener.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, so the farmer's market is still happening, just in a different location. Okay, so environment, there's going to be, everyone here is doing kind of different roles. I have people doing sanitation, to public safety, to traffic control, to inside a building, to outside in the sun. So we just want people to be very aware that you are going to dress for the weather, have a water bottle, bring sunscreen. You might be outside for a while. Luckily, we are getting, knock on wood, some awesome weather Saturday. If you haven't seen it, we were talking about this earlier. I think we're looking at 83, 84 degrees, maybe a little rain in the morning, but nothing in the afternoon. It is looking basically as good as you could ever ask for a RAGBRAI day. So really excited about how that's shaping up. And it should be a really nice, comfortable environment, but still just something to be cognizant of. You might be outside for a period of time, shade, you may not have that around you. So bring sunscreen, dress for the weather, bring water. Finally, give yourself time. Traffic is going to be heavy. We are really trying to push this out to the public right now because we want them to know if you're driving your vehicle just to go see your buddy who lives downtown, it's going to be kind of tough to go get to that person. So give yourself time. If you're heading down to the Hard Rock to go park, give yourself an extra 20, 30 minutes. It's going to take some time to get down there and get in. You don't welcome 40,000 people to the city without some backups in traffic. So anticipate very, very heavy traffic, especially around downtown. There's going to be road closures as well, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Finally, again, I can't reiterate enough, smile, have fun. This thing is going to be so cool. We are so looking forward to it because we get to talk to and welcome people from like Italy that are coming to Sioux City, Iowa to come for a huge bike ride. It's so bizarre, and I'm certain it's going to be so much fun because of that. So have fun with people. Welcome to our community. Get them to the right location and have fun with it. At the end of the day, this thing is going to be kind of a party, and it's going to be a blast. And it's coming whether we like it or not, so we might as well have some fun and smile through it. All right, so Sunday morning, how are we getting out of town? The riders, if you have not seen this, on the right-hand side, I know this is a zoomed-out version, they are going to start at the dip site. So historically, if you're not aware, RAGBRAI has a tradition where they dip their rear tire in the Missouri River and their front tire in the Mississippi River, kind of signaling they've made it all the way across the state. So the dip site is at the boat ramp That is the only area that we are allowing people to be in the water. Ryan will get into this in a little bit with public safety. The Missouri River is very, very dangerous, and not a lot of people from out of town know that. So that'll be where it starts. They are going to ride all the way up Hamilton Boulevard. They're going to take a right onto Outer Drive. Outer Drive will take them up over the hill, and they're going to take a left onto 41st Street. So they're not going all the way down to Floyd. They're going to take a left onto 41st Street. 41st Street takes them down past Leeds Park, and that's where it meets up with Floyd Boulevard, where they will then take a left. They go through downtown in Leeds, and they take their right onto D12 out towards Kingsley. And that's kind of where we lose them, is basically once they start taking that right onto D12, that's kind of where some of the other entities take over. So that is where our riders are leaving in the morning. For our vehicles, again, we have thousands and thousands of support vehicles that are coming to town. So instead of putting them all on the interstate and backing the interstate up, so Ryan's getting calls from Iowa DOT and they're mad as heck, to avoid that, we're going to take them down Gordon Drive. So if you are coming from Riverside Park, for example, they're going to take the Virginia Street exit, they're going to take their left on Virginia and their right on Gordon Drive and take it all the way out as it turns into Highway 20. From Chris Larson Park, they are going to exit again one-way road. We can't get back out, so they're going to exit out. Where it spits you out is at the Floyd stop down there. They're going to go under the interstate and take a left onto Dace Ave is what that road is. They take a right onto that court is that street, and then that's that little outlet that lets you turn right onto Gordon Drive and again out and away. So this has been communicated to all of our campsite. Everyone that's coming to a campsite has received this information. It's just good to know for us on the next morning if someone asks you, hey, how do I get out of here in the morning? That's kind of the direction that we're pointing on. Yes? So the question was, basically, is the route going to be closed? The answer is no to almost all of it. Ryan, when you get up, do you want to touch on? Yeah, so Ryan will touch on the actual road closures that we have, but no, basically it's going to be one lane is open. For example, on Hamilton, we'll have one lane closed northbound, and then the other lane will be open. So we're trying to push this out to our community and say, hey, avoid these. I mean, if you're trying to go through some of these streets, there's going to be 30,000 people on a bike. You might want to avoid that and find a new way. So we're really trying to communicate that ahead of time. But no, most of this route, if not all of it, is going to be completely open. Okay, so before we get into questions, I do want to go through Ryan Collins again with our public safety. This is probably the most important stuff if you take nothing else away, just so we are all on the same page and working in unison. If something happens on the day of, we're sending people to the right shelters, we're getting them help, and we know what to do. So again, we will go into his presentation, and then we'll come back with some questions at the very end here. So thank you, and we'll get going.
Thanks, John. Get ready to hear me? That's good. Again, my name is Ryan Collins. I'm with the fire department. I am co-chair of the public safety group that covers not only safety and security, but also medical and transportation. Kind of falls under our umbrella of the committee. So just going to go through a few things. On Saturday morning at 12 o'clock noon, we're going to open up a command center at the Long Lines Family Rec Center. All emergency information is going to be filtered through our command center, and we'll push out resources as needed. We're going to be monitoring the weather conditions, emergency resources that we have on for RAGBRAI, dedicated for RAGBRAI, and then also emergency traffic outside of the fence of RAGBRAI. So know that there's going to be personnel staffing that command center from noon on Saturday until 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. One slide that didn't come up. Before I get started, we didn't touch on it last group, so I want to make sure I really focus on it this time as far as road closures. So as John alluded to, the main activity is going to occur down there at the Tyson Event Center, Long Lines Family Rec Center area. As such, we have multiple road closures in that area. Gordon Drive, just right there on the south side of the Long Lines Family Rec Center parking lot, that is going to be closed both directions. Pearl Street on the west side of the Tyson, that will also be closed up into 3rd Street. And then Triview Avenue going west off of Pearl, that will be closed to allow for vendors and those sort of people to get in there safely and take care of those things. As John alluded to, Larson Park is going to be one way, essentially from the Hilton Garden Inn parking lot all the way to Floyd. There will be staff security people there, so they're only going to allow those vehicles down Larson Park Road that have the authorized passes. One other lane closure that doesn't really affect downtown, but it does affect people coming into town, is the Highway 75 off-ramp to get into Leeds. Those ramps are going to be closed because our riders are going to be going north on Floyd, and we don't want to have high-speed traffic coming in off of those off-ramps and potentially impacting any of the riders. So that's also going to be closed. I think that's all the road closures that we had. Hamilton Boulevard is not going to be closed. What they're going to do is, as the riders are heading north on Hamilton, the northbound lanes, they're going to be delineated by traffic cones. All the riders are going to stay on the right, and then traffic can continue on the left. Every intersection is going to be manned by either a uniformed police officer and or a volunteer to help manage any traffic that's trying to get across Hamilton. Even at the lights, all of the stoplights are going to be flashing red, making sure everybody stops at every intersection, except for the riders will be able to pass through. I would give you a definitive time. I got to look at my timeline here. The bicycle route goes to flashing at 6 a.m. So that's when they'll start. First day location, so of course we've got the main campgrounds. We got Riverside Park Campground, Chris Larson Park Campground, and then the Seaboard Triumph Foods Expo Center. I say Seaboard Triumph Foods Expo Center. It's very important that we delineate between this facility and the expo that's down at the Long Lines Family Rec Center. Even during we've been planning this since January, and even during our committee meetings, someone would just use expo, and we had to stop and find out what expo they're talking about. So if for some reason you need emergency help or resources, make sure, and it's at the expo, make sure you tell us which one. So we make sure we send the resources to the correct location. First day locations are going to be at each one of those campgrounds. At Larson Park, there's actually going to be two. There's going to be one at the boat ramp, and there's one going to be at the pavilion. The first day locations are going to be staffed by medical professionals from both hospitals and Hy-Vee Pharmacy. So they'll actually have first aid tents. That's where people go that might be thirsty, dehydrated, small lacerations, something like that. Or if they have something major, like chest pain, a major trauma or something like that, they can still go there. We're also going to have staffed EMS people in ambulances at all those locations as well, that we're able to provide immediate medical attention to if needed. Those first aid tents are going to be co-located with the information centers, just kind of make it a one-stop shop. That way they can communicate back and forth if needed. The other first aid locations, of course, Riverside Park. Cook Park is not one of the main campgrounds. Cook Park is going to be designated for unregistered riders, so people that just show up and say, hey, I'm just going to ride for a day, where can I put my tent? We're going to send them over to Cook Park, and then any overflow that we might have from Chris Larson Park is going to be located at Cook. Once that happens, that kind of spins up some additional resources there. First aid, there was going to be police there already, but a shuttle stop, that sort of thing, to make sure that those folks are taken care of. The first aid stations are going to be open at 10 a.m. starting on Saturday morning, and they're going to close at 6 p.m. Essentially, once all the riders start moving their way downtown to the concert area, the first aid locations are going to close, but we are going to maintain EMS presence in those campground areas. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay? But we know that weather can change. We know that. So we're planning for that. We'll go over quick. Everybody remember what a watch advisory warning is? Is my wife still in here? She sometimes struggles. You know, the watch means things are favorable. It could happen. You know, advisory is actually, you know, heat advisory is a real thing, and it's usually the number one natural, you know, phenomenon that causes injury is heat trauma. So, or heat stroke, heat, you know, those sort of things, heat-related illnesses. So, and when you're in the campground, if you see people that just look, you know, maybe dehydrated or hot or something like that, get them in the shade, get them some water, call for EMS, okay? Or get them to a first aid station. Warnings, we all know warnings are tornado, severe winds, that kind of thing. Historically in Sioux City, the sirens will sound for a tornado or a wind event in excess of 70 miles an hour. You got 12,000 tents, they're not gonna hold up real well to 70 mile an hour winds, okay? So for Saturday night only, if winds are expected to exceed 50 miles an hour, we're gonna sound the sirens. Okay, so if the out-of-towners are wondering why the sirens are going off, it's because we're expecting winds in excess of 50 miles an hour, so it lets them know they either need to add a couple extra stakes to their tents, or they need to start getting to a shelter. Okay, we'll go through the shelters here in a second. How that's going to be communicated out, any type of warning will be communicated out, obviously over the radio, over the walkie-talkie radios. That'll be going through the information centers, the first aid centers, EMS. Those people are going to be reaching out to the campers and let them know that they need to start seeking shelter. The sirens will sound off. There'll be emergency text messages that go out over Smart 911. If you don't have Smart 911 yourself, I strongly encourage you to get it, because this is the text messages that the riders are going to get. Smart 911 is being promoted through the information packets that have been sent to all the riders. We're hoping that they all sign up for it, because it not only gives them alert messages here, and it doesn't even have to be for weather, it can be any type of an alert. It will go to only those people in a very specified area. Okay, we can draw on a map and then send out a message to all the phones within that little circle or that polygon. If you don't have it, that is the QR codes. I strongly encourage you to download that app, sign up for it. You can turn it off, turn it on as you need, but it's great just to have here at home as you live here, because it provides pinpoint alerts for whatever reason. It could be severe weather, or it could be a natural disaster, or anything. So strongly encourage you to sign up for that. And you can also just go to any of your Apple store or Google Play store and download Smart 911. So we'll talk about the shelters on Larson or Chris Larson Park. If you are west or upriver from Veterans Bridge, the shelter is going to be the interpretive center, the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. That's where we're going to be pushing everybody into. Hopefully they all fit. We can be like sardines, but if they're down river from the bridge, from the Veterans Bridge, they're going to have to hoof it underneath the interstate and get to the Long Lines Family Rec Center. Any warning that goes out, we're going to try to provide as enough time as we can before the event occurs, because we understand that it's going to take some time for people to get to those shelters. Number one, it's going to take time to communicate to them, for them to process that warning, and then get moving. So we're going to do our best to try to get them into the shelters as quickly as we can. Also, the Hilton Garden Inn, for those west of Veterans Bridge, the Hilton Garden Inn will also open those doors for any evacuees, if you will. Riverside, the primary shelter is going to be the pool house. And then there's various bathrooms. Miracle League has a bathroom as well. We'll fit as many as we can. If for some reason we need to shelter everybody out there, we're going to have to get them up to Riverside School, Riverside Elementary School, which is about a mile and a half. Now, I've seen some of these riders ride, they go pretty quick. Others, maybe like myself, are not so quick. So we're going to give them as much time as we can, but that's going to be our primary, is going to be the Riverside Pool bathhouse, and then the Miracle League bathhouse. Down here at the Expo Center, of course, we've got this great facility that we can easily move in. The Expo Center is going to be mostly RVs, but we understand that there's probably going to be some tent camping that occurs. As multiple people come down in RV, they're going to be pitching tents as well. So this facility will be opened up in the event of severe weather or any other time that we need to shelter in place. As I said, Cook Park is going to be for our unregistered guests, but we want to make sure that they have a safe place to go. So Girls Inc. is going to be the primary shelter for them. All of these facilities, if they're not already unlocked, will be unlocked by either police department personnel or fire department personnel that are stationed out there at those campgrounds. So they should be able to open up pretty quick. I'm going to skip over the communication plan. Other than this very bottom, this is the landlines into our command center. If for some reason you need emergency resources, you can call those numbers if EMS hasn't already been notified of it. So if you're at a campground and you know someone falls down and is injured, or a bicyclist is hit by a car or something like that, absolutely you can call 911. Okay, but if for some reason you can't get through, these are the backup lines. Okay, you can call us and then we can radio emergency resources to your location. This will also, all this information is also available in the information center. They will have all of this information as well. We won't talk about radios other than if you are assigned a radio for whatever reason, whether it be one of our radios or if you're using a two-way walkie-talkie, make sure you, before you key up on the mic, make sure that there's no other traffic going over your radio, and then don't hold the radio right up to your mouth. Hold it away from your mouth. Use a normal speaking tone, even if it's loud environment around you. Just use a normal speaking tone. Be very clear, concise, so that we can understand and we get you resources as quickly as possible. Contacting RAGBRAI command anytime that you see any actual or perceived emergency. Okay, that means be vigilant. You're actually seeing something, or you think you see something. That's okay. Call us. We want to be able to know about it. Okay. Any suspicious person or activity or any illegal activity that's occurring, such as fireworks in the campgrounds. We're not allowing fireworks in the campground or open fires in the campgrounds. Okay. So you see that stuff, either flag down to police officers that are going to be patrolling the areas, or you can call the command center and we'll get somebody there. If you have any questions after this presentation, you're thinking home at night and think, God, I should have asked that question, just call me up. That's my number there at the bottom. Give me a call and we can work through it. John, is there anything that I missed?
Awesome. So we are going to do a quick some questions for you guys. Again, if you are thinking it, someone else is probably thinking it, so please ask. This is a great time so everyone can hear it before we break up into our kind of subcommittees here and give some specific training. So if you have any questions related to campgrounds or sanitation or public safety or wherever the heck you're at, please go ahead and ask. Like I said, this is a great time to kind of bounce some stuff off everyone. Thank you. I need more questions. Yeah, great question. So the question was, what time is the road closure going to go to on Sunday? And do you know?
They open up at noon. Yep, to allow all the vendors and all the support vehicles and everybody else to kind of vacate that area. So the road closures will be lifted at noon on Sunday.
And that goes for like the main route.
Yeah, so, yep, that's when they will leave their posts.
And that's the main route through town.
Yep.
Service times for the other towns and any other closures outside of Sioux City, there will be service times. We don't have that information in town.
Okay, good question. Thank you.
Oh, hold on, let's sit one more.
Go ahead.
I kind of forgot to add. Probably one of the biggest risks that we've identified now, especially on Larson Park Road, is our river. John had mentioned, we all live here, we know how dangerous our river is, but the people from Italy, the people from California or New York or wherever, they may not appreciate the dangers in our river. So we're gonna have signage posted along Chris Larson Park that says stay out of the water. If you do see someone going into the water, other than right at that dip site, as they're taking off, you need to let somebody know. Department of Natural Resources is gonna have a boat on the water during the day on Saturdays. So if anybody happens to go into the water, that they're able to quickly be pulled out. Our EMS staff is going to have life jackets and throw ropes, that sort of thing. Also preparing for anybody that goes into the water. So pretty much all the road closures are going to begin on Friday at noon. Yep.
Even committee chairs are asking questions. See, it's a great time for everyone to ask questions here. Anything else? Go ahead.
Larson Park goes one way starting at 8 a.m. on Saturday.
All right, so do you have one? Yeah.
Radio thing, is there going to be a radio at each station? Or we're working the beer tent. Are we going to have a radio there?
Yeah, so the radios are going to be at the information center / first aid stations, but there will be a strong police presence at the concert area. There'll be a strong police presence in the campgrounds, as well as EMS. They're all equipped with radios, so if you need something, just get with one of them.
Great question. Awesome. Okay, so I think now is a good time to break into sort of our subcommittee. So a couple things here before we get going. If you are unsure again about what committee you are assigned to, please come find Tim. He is right up front here in the black shirt. If your committee chair is not present, if it's not one of the people I mentioned, so for example, if you're with transportation, they are going to do their own training on site, or he's going to email everything out ahead of time. So you would be basically good to go. If you are with hospitality, campgrounds, or sanitation and showers, you're staying with me kind of in this area. I'm using another PowerPoint. If you are with Kathleen with food and beverage, she is back there, and you're going to go to another site or another room here for a PowerPoint presentation. And finally, information center, information center ladies are here, and Chad has all the entertainment folks with him.